Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Aurora Stefrak and here I am with Translucent Truth Yoga to deliver you guys the weekly intuitive energy update for the week of January 17th, 2022. So welcome if you are new, welcome back if you've been here before. Just to give you guys a quick little recap, I do these at the beginning of every energy update so that you guys know that these are timeless readings, okay? That means that basically these work on the resonance. It works on frequency. So whatever it is that's going on in your world, when if you need to use these as oracles, which just means like, I need a message from the universe, like help a sister out, help a brother out, you can go on to any of my already recorded energy updates and you can just say, okay, higher self, which one do I need to watch, and go and watch that one, and that one will hopefully have all the information that you need, right? That's why I've been doing these. We're almost at a year now come March, so I've really been dedicating myself every week to making sure that I can provide information for you guys kind of as to what's kind of been going on. And then that way we create a bank, we create all this information so that people can come at any time and you don't necessarily need to connect with me or with anybody else. And again, finances is another big thing too for a lot of people. So if you don't have the money to get help, there's so many free resources out in the world, right? So just be very smart about where your attention is and where your limits are, right? So I have some exciting news to share with you guys. I finally purchased my singing bowls. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a quick little intro. I'm gonna play the bowls. I'll give you guys a little taste of what it's all about, and then I'm actually gonna move back over near the fireplace, so I'll move my phone and everything. But yeah, let's do it. So if you want to get into just like a comfortable seated position, you can breathe with me, or you can just watch and observe, whatever your little heart desires. I'm just gonna basically set the intention to clear the space here today for us. And each of these bowls is attuned to a certain chakra, certain energy field. So those are the bowls. I cannot wait to do sound baths with these magnificent, magnificent tools. Maybe I'll actually just grab one. We'll do the heart chakra, guys. And the crown, heart and crown. Realize I don't even have cards. I'm gonna go grab cards real quick. Okay, guys. So welcome back to me. Okay, so guys, today's actually full moon, so I just want to get right into that. Basically, what it means, the sign that we're in, and basically that's setting the tone for this whole week. Because as I've gotten to acquaint with the full moon energies, I have learned that everything I was already channeling, which is like, creating a safe space, different things like this, all have to do with this full moon, okay? So it's actually really, really cool because it just is confirmation and validation that I'm on the right track, right? That I'm tapping in and I'm really genuinely able to access this information, because when I go look at the full moon, it's exactly the energies, okay? So first things first, what is a full moon? A full moon is when the sun is fully illuminating the moon, right? This is the part of the cycle where manifestations are coming to fruition. It means, your the light is fully shone on you. So you're kind of in the spotlight, right? And so this full moon is in Cancer, and Cancer is a water sign. Cancer is a very emotional sign. They're but not like the Pisces or the Scorpio. They're ruled by the home life, right? So your home dynamics are really going to be illuminated and heightened right now, right? So like if you are not in a very healthy dynamic in your home, in your family life, then emotionally, this week, and especially today, you're really going to have heightened emotions and heightened stressors, okay? And so that's why, as I was already saying, it's so important to really, it was just 9:36 on the time, to really create that space for yourself, to the safe space, a sacred space, so that you're able to give yourself that grace, right? Which I'm now like quoting all of my notes that I already have. But yeah, so that is kind of how the Cancerian full moon energy is going to be influencing us. It's like heightened emotions around home life, okay? So, and then that also just means like feeling home in your body as well, right? Like feeling home just as an individual, like in your body, right? In your life, in your whole reality, right? And so if you're not in alignment with your true authentic self, then things will kind of be rickety for you, right? Things will have to come up, and they're coming up so that you're able to release them, purge them, and let go. They're not coming up to say you're a bad person or da 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 da, whatever the ego wants to tell you, whatever the wounded aspects of yourself want to tell you. You really need to rein that in this week and be honest with yourself and not listen to the judgments, right? So it's one thing to say, okay, I'm in this situation that I don't want to be in anymore, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever. And how do I get out of this now, right? Like step one is awareness that you don't want to be in that situation. And the second is, actually doing something about it, right? Taking action on that awareness, right? So we're really, 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 really urged to, just create that safe space. And if you can't do that externally, then it starts within, right? You have to be able to feel safe within your own being, right? So that's where we'll get into doing some inner mother, inner child, inner father work, right? Where we're unifying the family within ourselves so that we can be a whole person, right? Now, mind you, just so you guys know, I'm not feeling the best. I'm still under the weather. Last week, I talked all about the physical body, taking care of the physical body. Today, I feel like I have a fucking spotlight on my third eye. Like, my head is killing me, and, like, my vision is kind of fucked up, and, like, my thoughts are not fully, like, formulating, even though, thankfully, when I'm channeling, I can just get into that kind of energy of channeling and not really thinking, because it's the thinking that hurts my head, if anything, not so much the channeling the information. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there, right? Like reminding you that if you are in this energy of not feeling very good, just slow down, take care of yourself, take a day off work. I know, like, it's the end of the world, but you have to take care of yourself, like, because if you can't function, if you do not have your health, then you do not have life, right? You can't live your life, right? It's one thing to have $1,000 in the bank, but if you can't, 1,000, it's really not that much, but 100,000, a million, whatever, if you can't actually live your life, then really that doesn't mean anything, right? So we're tapping into basically the foundation, the emotional foundation of our inner world, right? And so a lot of us do not have very much emotional intelligence. So when you look out into the world, we all talk about IQ, like, your what does IQ even stand for? I'm not even sure what IQ stands for, but it's your mind's intelligence, right? Your way of thinking. Can you fit into this box, right? And then we'll tell you what your IQ is, which is really not even a true representation of your intelligence anyway, right? Because there's so many different kinds. So emotional intelligence is what is going to be on the forefront with us moving forward, right? Because we have to be able to basically read situations, understand body language, understand facial expression, understand kind of like the dynamics, the response of the human, right? Like the human has certain responses. This is why when you study psychology or different things, you realize, oh, certain things mean certain things, that when you lie, you look up in a certain direction or whatever, because it is a literal, the physical's functioning, the physical body is functioning, right? And so that is all the same, right? We all have that same template. It's just how we operate within that template that's different, right? And so we're really learning how to honor and strengthen our connection to our emotional intelligence. And the whole reason of this is so that we can connect more to our intuition, to our spirit, right? To our higher selves, to our souls. Because what happens is that when we are not connected to our emotions, it disconnects us from our instincts, okay? We don't trust our instincts, right? And so when we are learning the language of our body, when we're rewiring and understanding, like when you have certain feelings in certain areas, it means certain things, right? So for example, the left shoulder, say you're having a lot of pain in your left shoulder. I have a book, it's called The Secret Language of the Body. And so within that, it's all the emotional reasons for having any pain in your body, any physical pain, because what happens is that we store trauma in our body, okay? And so then what happens is, say it is an emotional thing. So for this, it would be carrying too much, okay? So on the left side is the feminine, so this would be emotionally, okay? So you're carrying too much emotionally. If it's your right side, then this is the masculine. So this is in the physical, so doing, right? This is like you're doing things you don't want to be doing, right? And so it's like, how can we use these messages of our body to kind of redirect and reroute us back into alignment, right? Because the physical body is just responding to its environment, whether that be your thoughts or your physical environment, your emotions, the words that you say to yourself, the words that people say to you, this all gets stored in the body, right? And so when we don't release it, when we don't acknowledge it, it's like fries our nervous system almost, because we're always in like information overload type thing, because we don't know how to process it, right? So the whole idea here is to create a safe space so that you're able to process what's going on, right? Like nothing is wrong with you. It's just understanding how to come back into balance, right? And it's understanding your core traumas, your core wounds, your core soul lessons, your soul, your life lessons in this lifetime, right? For example, for me, self-worth was a big one. Like not feeling good enough, right? Like giving myself, like not wanting to take certain opportunities, not thinking that I'm good enough. Can I really do that? Like questioning myself. My age was always something that limited me, because I'm like, well, who the fuck's gonna listen to this little girl talk, right? And now I'm like, I've obviously worked through that so that I'm able to go, you know what? I have some really amazing knowledge and wisdom to share with the world, and whoever wants to listen, I welcome you to listen, right? And so instead of standing on the street corner saying, listen to me, I found other routes, because that obviously was not going to be my route for trying to connect with people, right? But yeah, so how these core wounds kind of affect us, right? And so you can kind of dive into that one thing, and that's very solar plexus energy, right? And so that is like my self-worth. What influenced my self-worth? Why did I not feel good enough? Because for me, it did not come from family trauma, right? This was more an internal soul lesson, right? Meaning that in my family structure, I was not put down in a way to make me feel that way, right? Like there's a lot of people that have contracts that have come into the world that said, okay, I'm going to be your mom, but I'm going to be in competition with you the whole time, and I'm always going to try to be better than you, right? And so then that does something to the child as well, right? How the mother is trying to overpower and always be better than, so it creates this warped dynamic for every relationship that they have, right? Because they're like, well, fuck, like my mom always tries to be better than me, so you might as well try to be better than me too. And then what happens is we actually attract that vibration into our lives, right? So we start having friendships that are competitive, that you don't even want it to be, and you're like, what the fuck, why am I attracting this shit? Like I'm so over it. Well, the thing is that you have to clear it from your field, right? Which means you have to heal from that. You have to take your power back. You have to recognize that this dynamic that you do have with your mom or your dad or your sibling even, or your friends or society or whatever, like there's so many different things. Like why? Always ask why. Why is this the case? And you don't need to dig, and you don't need to go and dig and dig and dig. It's just about asking the question, releasing it to the universe, and allowing that information to come in when you're ready, right? Because this is a lot of deep healing work that does take time, because the physical body, to process it, it's one thing to conceptualize things and to understand things and to see, oh wow, this is where my wounding comes from. But it's another thing to actually heal that, like in your nervous system, in your body. And I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying that, because the physical body, it just stores information, right? And so when we don't clear and purge that out and cleanse that, we're holding that. Even though something might have happened 25 years ago to you, you still have that in your nervous system, right? Which means that it's a response thing, right? Too, right? That's why a lot of us just react instead of respond, because we get triggered emotionally, right? And so when we can learn to clear that out of our field, out of our body, out of our mind, out of our emotions, then that's when we can really have a pure template moving forward, right? So that we don't get triggered about certain things or hurt or upset or internalize situations, and basically create stories, right? Okay, so I'm going to start reading from my list now that I've said all that, because I just want to kind of go through it and just make sure that I hit some notes here. So, so this Cancer full moon is going to be very emotionally challenging, but it's also going to be very healing, okay? Because it's like, you know what? Things don't just come up, right? Things come up when we are ready to deal with them, right? So it's like, honor the fact that you're finally ready to deal with whatever it is that's coming up, right? And you may not know how, but it's just asking. You have to ask for help then, right? How can I help myself? What can I do to help myself, right? And Google shit and YouTube shit and learn shit and start taking in new information. What that new information will do, it will rewire your neural pathways in your brain, and then gives you a whole new way of seeing the world once you start integrating knowledge. And then you internalize that knowledge and you alchemize it, you transmute it into wisdom, which is just knowing, it's taking your experiences and learning the lessons from it, and then moving forward with that new foundational understanding, right? So urging us to put the past behind us. So we're really being urged to, whatever has happened in the past has happened, and now we're stepping in, like, something that I channeled on the New Year's was about quantum. We're heading into the quantum, guys. And what I mean by that is like, basically you have linear, which is like A, B, C. You got to do this to do this to do this. Quantum is more, I don't want to say instantaneous, but not logical, right? Like it's like, say you have a thought and you're like, I want this, and then you say it, and then 2 days later you're like, holy fuck, how did that happen? That is quantum, right? Like it doesn't make sense. It's just like going into the fabric of reality and manifesting something, right? Like it's more of a magical energy, because things don't really need to make sense. They do make sense when you understand them. Everything has a science to it. Art has a science has an art, right? They kind of go hand in hand, even though in our reality we separate them very much, so they actually are one of the same, right? So when we are going through this and we're purging what isn't serving us, like, accept that that's where you're at in the cycle, right? This is a huge thing too with the emotions, right? When we're dealing with emotions, they're quantum, and they do not make sense to our mind, okay? When you feel a feeling, you're trying to understand it logically, there is no logic. You could have carried this in from past lifetimes, okay? This could have come from so many different avenues, right? So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to trust that my body knows what it's doing. All I need to do is relax my body, connect to my breath, and allow. That's really all healing is, just allowing this to go through us and for you to go through it too, right? So as things are coming up, do not get attached to them emotionally or mentally, any way at all. This information's coming up so that it can be purged, so that it can be released, right? And again, if you're needing help with that, start asking for help, start looking for help, start trying to connect with other people, right? Okay, so then I have purge and let go of old wounds that may be holding us back, specifically inner child, family, home life, and roots. Okay, so where you come from, right? This is why you are so emotional right now, because you are being heightened by this full moon energy, illuminating all of your home aspects, all of the emotional aspects of what it is to feel home. Just home in your body, home in your life, home in every single way, which most of us do not and have not felt like that for a long time, if ever, right? And so it's like, I want that to be something that I feel all the time for me. And that is where I learned how to tap into 0 point field, which is just my own heart, my own body, and I am always home within my body. I do not need a house. I do not need people around me. I do not need all of these things to feel home in my body, which means I can go to the other side of the world and I can be with different people and be seeing different things and having different influences, and I'm still connected to my home frequency, which is just me, Aurora, right? And so that allows for you to have that solidarity through all of your experiences, which then allows for you to draw in more authentic experiences, right? So we're really being tested, right? Tested in a way, right? And so that's why we're really being urged to create safe spaces, to listen to our emotions and our body while we're going through this process, because that's what's going to guide us. When we just sit in the silence and in the nothingness, you realize that there is so much within silence, okay? Okay, and then we have pulled back into old situations, and then we have a choice to ruminate or to recreate, right? So it's like things are gonna, people, places, things may come back into your field. You may think that's really weird, like, why are you back here? But it's like, this is a new choice point for you. So this is gonna be basically, are we gonna ruminate in it, or are we gonna recreate it? Are we gonna keep telling the same story over and over again? Or are we gonna step into our new reality, basically, of empowerment, of self-love, of taking care of ourselves, of honoring ourselves, of seeing ourselves as sacred and connecting with the divine again, right? So we also have an influence from Pluto, okay? So he's the archetype for God of the underworld, okay? And so that's just basically our shadow, right? This is offering an opportunity to evolve or dissolve, to transmute, transform, and regenerate. So I don't really know what placement Pluto's in. I was just doing some research, and they were saying that the influence of Pluto right now, he's offering opportunity to evolve or dissolve. So I'm only bringing this up to tell you guys, because I'm not an astrologer, but I do understand the dynamics, and so this is something that I was guided to put in here, because this is something that's influencing this full moon, right? And it's supporting the full moon. It's supporting us because it is the God of the underworld, of our shadow self. Not only are we being illuminated right now with this full moon, the placement of Pluto with this full moon is also encouraging us to go deeper into that home life, deeper into that inner child, deeper into that inner parent dynamic that you have for yourself, right? So I just wanted to kind of touch base on that to tell you that basically we're being supported through this transition from other placements, astrologically, right? Okay, strong associations and connections with trauma and wounding. Okay, so we're going to be having a lot. I had somebody message me the other day, actually, and he was mentioning that he's been having a lot of dreams lately, and he thinks that they're past life dreams. I said they probably are. We're purging right now. What happens is that we hold all of our trauma also within our mind, which dream state is the unconscious, the subconscious coming to the conscious. And so what'll happen is that we use our dream time to purge, okay? Because most of the time we don't give ourselves this space to do it while we're awake. So then what happens is that the body gets so overloaded that it needs to purge. So it'll purge through dreams. So say you never dream, but you only have bad dreams when you do, right? And so that's because your body, your mind, your consciousness is like, hey, I'm trying to get your attention and you're not listening to me, okay? And so then that's when you turn on your ears. Okay, I'm listening. Turn off that ego, right? Okay, so strong associations and connections with trauma and wounding. But we have shamanic and psychological energy coming through. That's what this ad said, or this article that I was reading, right? They were saying shamanic and psychological energy is coming through as well, right? So what that means, shamanic just meaning healing energy, psychological meaning the mind, being able to understand the mind, healing the mind, healing the body, healing the spirit, healing the inner child, healing the aspects of ourselves, right? The inner child, the inner mother, the inner father, the inner critic, different things like this, going into these psychological aspects of ourselves and being the healer of our own lives, right? And this is a great time to kind of seek out some spiritual counseling right now, or to go to a counselor or a therapist or something, because when we don't know what to do with our own shit and we just ruminate in it, it just gets even more confusing and chaotic and messy, because then we're manifesting things from that space all the time, which means that, you know, you might have got this one person out of your life, but then you attract another person with the exact same energetics, right? And then you're like, what the fuck is wrong with the world, man? And then you have to realize it is not the world necessarily, it's just what you're attracting into your world, right? Because there's a plethora of beautiful things that are happening right now as well, right? So just recognizing and realizing, okay, I need to take responsibility for my shit so that I can live a happy and fulfilled life. And what does that mean? That means that I need to create a safe space for myself. It means I need to listen to myself. It means I need to listen to the messages that come in, like, ooh, I don't want to do that. Okay, I'm not going to do that. And that's not in a sense of not taking care of our responsibilities. That's in a sense of like doing things that you don't want to do for other people, right? Even for yourself, right? Like smoking cigarettes, right? I'm really trying, guys. I'm really trying. But this is still something for me that I'm struggling with, and I know that it's not good for me, okay? Like, they make it very clear. The world says, you know, this is like, I call them cancer sticks, for fuck's sakes, you know? But here I am still doing that unconscious thing. So, you know, and maybe that's also part of me getting sick, is just to bring myself back into my body being like, hey, you know what? I'm going to break you down so that you remember what it's like to not have your health, so that when you have your health, maybe you'll appreciate it, right? And that's the whole thing, right? We all have our own lessons. But yeah, so we're really being asked to ask for help, right? Like, call a friend that may be able to help you. Ask the universe, say, well, what does she mean, a spiritual mentor? How do I find a spiritual mentor? Like, you know, I don't really know, to be honest. Like, hey, come talk to me. But you know, there's so many different things, right? Like, you just have to start asking, and the universe will provide. This is a whole thing, right? Like, if you're the creator of your reality, then when you say, okay, I want this, I'm ready for this, you will receive it, right? So just be aware of that. And make sure that when you are talking to someone, you're in a space where you're able to be vulnerable, where they can hold space for you, where they're not trying to always like fix you, they're just able to hold space. And that'll allow for you to access your healing tears, you know, to be able to cry, to be able to purge it out. Because I have done entire lessons on crying and the actual physiological response of the body and what happens when we cry. Like, we actually release certain hormones, our stress hormones being cortisol and adrenaline. We actually release those through our tear ducts, right? Because we get so full of this stressful energy that you just have to cry. And then when you cry, you release that. Not only, you're also releasing oxytocin from the brain, which is like a feel-good chemical. I mean, you're also getting dopamine and serotonin, which are also feel-good chemicals. So you're actually, when you cry, you're basically, you know, creating a concoction of different neurotransmitters, hormones within your body that's actually like relieving you of this pain, right? And so that's why it's so important to cry and to let it out, and like deep, like where you can't even fucking breathe anymore, cry, you know, like get it out of you. This is what, you know, creating this safe space is going to allow for you to do, right? And it's not fun, you know, healing is not fun, but the result of it is so beautiful, because then we're liberated from these things that we've been carrying for lifetimes, right? Okay, so yeah, allow for the tears to help parent and nurture your inner child. Listen to those tears, right? Listen to why you're crying. Why are you crying? You know, what's going on? My mom asked me years ago why I don't sing anymore. And that broke my heart. I was like, why don't I sing? Mom, I never noticed I stopped singing. Yeah, why don't you sing anymore, Aurora? Oh, Probably because I just want to die all the time. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't know how to feel good anymore. I'm totally disconnected from every fucking aspect that is me, which includes singing. And that's it, you know? So then that was a wake up call for me, like, whoa, I really got to start focusing on things that I love, right? And that's how I can open up my shop now, because I put the effort into even just getting to know myself, what I like, what I don't like, and just my singing bowls, you know, all of it. Like, it's like, you know what? When we choose to feed these parts of ourselves that are begging to be fed, then we can start nourishing ourselves, right? Including that, mostly that inner child self, right? Of just being able to be playful and wonderment, be in wonderment and awe and see the magic of the world, right? We're learning how to access that again. And in order for us to access that, we have to understand why we disconnected from it in the first place, right? Okay, yeah, so then we have inner parent and inner child revamping the dynamics. So what I mean by that is that you're basically reparenting yourself, okay? So what'll happen as you do this work is that everyone always starts with the inner child, but I think that I might start with the inner parents in my teachings. I haven't decided yet, because I think it's really, really important to understand your parenting style for yourself, and where it came from, understanding your dynamics of your mother and your father, or lack of that, right? Whoever parented you, like, where did you get these skills from? Because here's the thing, you can't blame yourself for not being, like, you know, fully above and beyond, totally embodied into this beautiful aspect of the mother and the father and the child, because you were not taught. You were not taught. And that's really what it comes down to, is that we are not taught. We are not taught this stuff. And so then how are we supposed to know? You know, like, it's really that simple. So we're re-teaching ourselves. We're relearning what it is to take care of ourselves. So this is the thing. So you break it down. What is the archetype of the inner father? Or not even the inner, just of the father, right? What is the archetype of the mother? Right? So the father is the protector. The father is the foundation. The father is the support. The father is the space holder. He is the one that gives you the container to exist in. And the feminine is everything that fills it. This is that Cancerian moon, right? Which is actually really cool, because we're in Capricorn energy representing that masculine, and the moon, like, that's for the sun, by the way. And then the moon is in this Cancerian energy, which is all about the emotional side of it, the home life, feeling connected, feeling a part of the tribe, right? Things like that. Feeling safe, right? So the mothering energy is all about nurturing emotionally, mentally, encouraging, loving, giving support emotionally, right? Like, nourishing the body, the mind, the spirit, the actual nourishment of it. Whereas the body is the masculine, right? That this physical vessel represents the masculine, but how I treat it is the feminine, right? Whether I'm going to speak kindly to myself or not, which was a huge part of me on my journey, was learning how to love myself, learning how to be kind to myself, instead of when I make a mistake being like, what's fucking wrong with you? What, are you a fucking idiot? You know, like, that's how I used to talk to myself. And now it's just like, oh, whatevs, you know, on to the next thing. Made a mistake. Now I'm gonna learn from that mistake and move on. Right? So really revamping these dynamics within ourselves, right? And then from there, once you have a grasp on the inner mother and the inner father, the inner child is the result of that, right? So if you notice, oh wow, I don't speak very kindly to myself, oh wow, I don't support myself at all, oh wow, I don't think I can freaking do anything right, then of course your inner child is going to be in a lot of pain, right? It's not going to feel heard, it's not going to feel seen, it's not going to be heard, and it's not going to be seen, because none of that matters to the wounded parent, right? Like, oh, come on, get over it. Whatever. You got a fucking roof over your head. You got fucking shoes on your feet. Like, come on, let's go. And if that's the energy that you grew up in, then that's the energy that you're going to carry in your own field of how you communicate with yourself, right? until you do the work, right? This is all unconscious stuff, right? And so bringing it into conscious awareness is all that the missing link is, right? I just gotta get a drink. One sec. Okay. Revamping our inner world. Okay, and then we also have Mercury in retrograde, just to add it. So it just went into retrograde on the 14th of January. Some places I heard it's going till the 31st of January. Other places I've heard it's till the 3rd or the 4th of February. So the next couple of weeks anyway, Mercury's in retrograde. Mercury rules communication, okay? And what happens when a sign is in retrograde, or a planet, sorry, is in retrograde, it appears from where we are sitting, like on Earth, that this planet is going backwards in space. Now, of course, a planet can't go backwards in space. It is an optical illusion, but it has a representation energetically of what that means, right? So when something's in retrograde, it appears to be going backwards. So that means that we could have, it's like pulling a card reversed, right? It means like, there's a blocks could come up, things could go wrong, be revisiting old patterns, different things like this. Whereas a lot of people will be like, oh my God, it's freaking Mercury retrograde and blame all their problems on it. I'm really all about being conscious about how the planets are supporting us through our healing process. So it's like, to me, I see it as actually things are coming up. This is a more accessible time to be able to have these things come up, because you don't even have to try. It's just the energy. It's like, for fuck's sakes, like deal with it then, or it wouldn't be coming up, right? That's the whole idea of it, right? Like, this is a time to really slow down and to really take your time and to really go within and say, how does this feel to me? Communicate with yourself, right? As I said, Mercury rules communication. So when it is in retrograde, we will be having things like old patternings come up between not only, your inner world, but outside as well. It could be in your jobs. It could be even technologically. There could be technology issues where you're not able to do certain things because of this or that or whatever, right? So Mercury's in retrograde. It is disrupting communication. So I just have here, allow for the soul to retreat and rest. Do not let the ego keep you in a linear logical approach. Okay, so this goes back to what I was saying earlier about quantum, that healing is quantum. It is not linear, which means that, there is no logic. It is not a logical thing. You have to go through the experience that you're needing to go through in order to reclaim certain aspects of yourself, right? So as we are in this energy, not only for this week, but for like the next 3 weeks as Mercury is in retrograde, we're really being asked to give ourselves a safe space to retreat to rest. Allow for yourself to just be, to dwell in the place within your heart center, and to just be able to ask the questions, what is going on? Why do I feel this way? And I'm not saying you're going to get all of the answers, but asking the questions invites the answers in, right? And then creating the space so that the answers can come to you. Journaling, focusing, right? Really focusing your energy on constructive aspects of life, right? Which is, that inner mother, inner father, inner child dynamic, right? Okay, so then the only control we have is the control over our own actions and how we respond to situations unfolding around us. Okay, guys? So as we're going through this, the only thing that we have control over, you cannot control people. You cannot control your own emotions even, like when people say, oh, if you can control your emotion, don't let your emotions control you, control your emotions. Like, that's so wrong, because not wrong in a sense like right or wrong, but just like, it doesn't make any sense, because emotions are our guidance system. It's like our GPS, right? So it's like, well, what do you mean override my emotions? This is the problem with society. If I'm overriding my emotions, then I'm not fucking listening to them. And they're there to guide us. They're there to tell you, hey, guess what? If you're angry, then you probably had a boundary breached. Somebody probably crossed a line and you're probably fucking pissed off. And whether that actually be them or that you let them, right? And so it's like this weird dynamic of just like being able to listen to our emotions and let them guide us instead of suppressing them and not acknowledging them. Because then how are you supposed to connect to your intuition, to your body, if you're not actually paying attention to these things, right? So the only thing that you do have control over are your own actions and how you respond to situations. Okay? Which is why, say something happens and you freaking need to explode, go to your safe space. Go to your safe space and relax and unwind and connect back to your breath, connect back to your truth, your authenticity, your integrity, okay? Like, why did this upset me? Why am I so worked up? What's going on, right? That's all that you want, is to be heard and to be seen. So do that for yourself, right? Okay, great. I'm almost done here. So we have a couple of things now. That was all I had for the Cancerian full moon. But it is a lot, and this energy is going to be coming back. Like, this is a very deep process energy, right? Okay, so the first thing I have this week, which I already did say a couple of times, but I'm going to just talk on it for a minute, is like giving ourselves grace, okay? Because as we're going through all of this stuff, even just as we're going through COVID and everything that's going on, all the different dynamics, it's like, you know what? Give yourself grace. Like, give yourself a little bit of space. Give yourself some kindness. Give yourself some understanding so that when you're going through this, you can just surrender to the process, you know, instead of always needing to like, you know, like that ego, man. It's like, I roll my eyes because it's like, God, like, can you just shut up already? Like, can you just like sit in silence, mind, and stop fucking bickering to me? Because I don't want to hear it, okay? And so obviously sounds like I'm going against what I had just said about listening to our emotions, but the ego is not our emotions. The ego will just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about anything, about nothing, about all of it, right? Just because it can. So that's why turning off our mind, right? That ego, like that chatty Cathy in our mind, that's why listening is so important, because you can't listen if your mind is going. Right? So that's part of listening, is to calm the mind, to connect into the silence and listen, and the heart as well, right? So giving ourselves grace as we're going through this next phase, okay? Because it's like, none of us know what's going on, right? Like, nobody knows. We're here to create the new earth, and the crumbling will happen how it happens, right? So give yourself grace, be kind to yourself as you're going through this. The next thing is creating a safe space, which I already said as well, but I just really want to touch note on it, to give yourself a safe space. And whether that is internally, like say you're at work and someone says something, pisses you off, go to the bathroom for a minute, recalibrate your energy field, and then go back to work. Instead of, which when I say recalibrate your energy field, calm your emotions, connect to your breath, ground yourself into the truth, okay? Don't need to make up all these stories. All I need to do is just come back to my center and go back out. And because you're the one that has to carry that energy unless you clear it. So you might as well just clear it and have clear energy as you're going through your day, right? So creating that space. It's like, you know what? I'm going to create a bubble around me that shields me from all negativity. And then every time if someone comes into your world and is projecting negativity onto you, you just say, I do not allow that into my field. I'm practicing being more positive. I'm practicing opening up my mind a little bit more. I'm practicing not judging all the time. I'm practicing, right? All of this is a practice, and you have to keep coming back to it. Talking about practice, the next thing is listening to our emotions and our body, okay? So practicing listening, which means turning the mind off, right? Not closing the mind, because it's not the words I want. Turning the mind off, the internal dialogue off, right? So that you're able to create that space to allow the information to come in, right? Because if you have a space and it's full all the time of thoughts of different things, then you're not able to like hear the wisdom coming into that space. So the idea is to clear that space, have a space now to fill, to allow that in. It's like cleaning a closet, right? So you're cleaning a closet and you take everything out of the closet so that you can refill it in a way that you want it to be, right? Same idea with the mind. You have to clear the mind of all thought, of all, not even, okay? Like, I'm getting extra. Calm the mind of repetitive thoughts so that you're able to create a space for new thoughts to enter, okay? And listening to that, listening to the body. Okay, so then, yeah, revamping our inner child and parent dynamic. That's the last thing I have, right? So again, how you nurture yourself, how you love yourself, how you take care of yourself, how do you speak to yourself, all these different things are different aspects of this dynamic. When you have a healthy mother and you have a healthy father, you have a healthy baby, okay? And so bringing that into your own dynamic of your own inner world and inner landscape. This week, this full moon today is really going to be testing that, and you know, we're going to be very emotional, and so we're going to want to act out, we're going to want to be our inner child, we're going to want to bitch, we're going to want to kick, we're going to want to scream. But it's in those moments we go, okay, I don't know, is this really serving me? Is this really getting me anywhere? How can I work with this now? Because I'm tired of kicking and screaming. Nobody cares. Nobody listens to me when I'm kicking and screaming anyway, right? So why are you kicking and screaming still, right? And I'm asking that so that you can liberate yourself from it, right? I'm not asking to be a dick. I'm asking because why? Why? Coming back to that why, right? Okay, let's see what wants to come out. This deck here is the Sacred Geometry Activations. Transition. The frequency of transition supports our deep understanding of the ever-changing nature of existence and our lives, so that we can learn to let go, surrender to the process, and allow transition to occur with ease and grace, right? So learning to this is like the death card, right, as well, because it's like endings and beginnings, learning how to evolve, right? Change. The only constant is change. So if you don't like change, then you have to shift your relationship to change and understand that if you're not going to honor the fact that change is the only constant, you're going to be constantly resisting life and constantly resisting reality. When you want things to stay the same, no, it just doesn't work like that, right? So you have to learn how to find comfort. Give yourself, it even says, and allow transition to occur with ease and grace, right? So giving yourself that grace to transition, feeling that resistance to change, but doing it anyway, loving yourself anyway, even though your inner child's like, fuck you, you've ignored me your whole fucking life. Don't think that you're just gonna come in here and talk to me, as the heart chakra's right here. Don't think that you're gonna come in here and talk to me and just be all buddy with me. Like, this is a real aspect of ourselves talking back to us to say, fuck you for abandoning me. Fuck you for abandoning me over and over and over again. Fuck you. You think you're just gonna come in here and fucking love me? No, that's not how it works, right? But that inner child, when you keep showing up every day and you're like, hey, I'm here again. I just want to say hi. All right, perfect. Hey, I'm here again. I just want to say hi. Hey, I'm here again. You know, I'm not abandoning you ever again. Okay, I love you. I want to be here for you. I want to support you. I want to give you everything that you deserve, because you do deserve it. See how the dynamic can change over time when you start speaking kindly to yourself, okay? Because that inner child of yours is hurt, upset. Like, how dare you get into relationships that hurt you and abuse you? And I have crazy goosebumps as I'm saying this, right? And this is how our inner child feels, right? Like, how dare you do that to me? But then you have the inner mother and the inner father aspects where you say, well, honey, I just didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know any better, and now I'm trying. I'm doing better now, right? And then the inner child goes, oh, thank you so much for coming back, even though you've been gone for so long. All that gets dissolved because it's just so happy to be loved, to be seen, to be heard, right? These aspects of yourself is what I'm speaking of, right? So give yourself that attention as you're transitioning through this. The throat chakra, the frequency of throat chakra, the blue flower of life, supports our self-expression and our sense of peace and balance. Okay, and then five is all about change as well. So perfect, we're being activated. This is also our truth, right? And communication. Okay, so our truth and communication, it was just 55:33 on the time. Okay, so here you are communicating again to yourself, communicating to your heart, communicating your truth, communicating that you're not okay even, right? I don't know, I'm just not okay. Then give yourself the space to not be okay and stop trying to change the fact that you're not okay and just be okay with not being okay, right? It is a mind fuck. It is very hard to go through, and I have deep compassion for everybody that's in this space right now. But the more that you keep coming back to yourself, the more that you'll be able to feel more yourself, right? You're reclaiming these aspects. So then we have the sacral chakra. The frequency of the sacral chakra, the orange flower of life, supports our ability to flow with our desires and stimulates our creative power to manifest success and abundance into our lives. Okay? Transitioning through. So going through the transition, connecting to our truth and communicating. And then once we do that, the sacral is all about birthing new worlds into reality or being creative, right? And so once we can speak our truth to ourselves, then we're able to speak that to others, and then we're able to start creating, which is that sacral energy, creating these new connections, these new, more resonating relationships, these new magical connections that we're going to pull in. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move toward possibilities and expressions that are as grand and profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in their manifestation. Right? There it is, that belief, right? Am I good enough? Are you good enough? Right? It's your belief that stops you from connecting to the magic. And then third eye chakra, the frequency of the third eye, the indigo flower of life, supports our intuition and our inner knowing, our imagination, and our psychic powers. Perfect. Love it. Connecting us. And that's where that magical energy comes in too, right? To be able to break free from the limitations of your mind, from the limitations of your belief systems, from the limitations of your emotional programming, maturing emotionally, maturing in all the ways so that you're able to live a healthy, balanced life. Tantric journey. The frequency of tantric journey helps us to unlock the hidden knowledge and wisdom that we intrinsically hold about how to reach a state of wholeness and completion through our sensual experiences with ourselves and with another. And last but not least, romantic love. So the frequency of romantic love supports our journey to feel whole and complete through the experience with and reflection of a conscious lover. Guess what, guys? Newsflash, you're your own conscious lover, okay? Anybody out there that if you're with a partner, they are just a reflection of you, okay? So really, that is the key here to understand. Anything outside of you is a reflection of you, okay? Whether that be good or bad, put in big air quotations there. It is you. It has always been you who you have been looking for, okay? It is not somebody else. That romantic partner is just a reflection of you, right? So if you're with a partner that you're not enjoying this reflection that's going back, then go within. Don't project onto them. Ask yourself, why am I having these situations and what is going on? This romantic partner that I'm with is reflecting back to me what I need to heal. Because if you say cut that person out of your life and you say nope, not for me, get out, you're the problem, then guess what? You attract that same type of partner because it's your field, it's your wounds, okay? So just keep that awareness as you're moving through this. And then the divine masculine wants to pop through. as well. The frequency of divine masculine supports our strong, focused, and active side, allowing it to express itself while helping us to bring our dreams and ideas into form with kindness and wisdom, as compassion is on the bottom. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, awesome. Okay, I want to do, I don't have the book or the deck to show you today, but I got, or the box, but this is the Work Your Light Oracle deck. Let's see what wants to come through. Fill up your cup, retreat, rest, and refuel. Perfect. Exactly what I've been saying, right? Reset, refuel, give yourself space to feel what you need. Birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. Perfect. Purifying your template so that you can live a more fulfilling and authentic life, right? When I say your template, your mind, your body, your spirit, everything, purifying so that you can come from this whole place, right? Lumeria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. And then take a break. A life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill. So what I'm hearing for this is like Lumeria is creating heaven on earth. It's happening. And with that, I got take a break. So what I'm really hearing is like, and do not think that doing your work, like doing something is getting you anywhere. You could be wasting your energy. You could just be doing it because you think that like you need to do it in order to be successful or whatever. Taking a break is how we're going to create heaven on earth, right? Resetting our nervous system, being able to access that parasympathetic side of our nervous system, which most of us do not have access to, right? Most of us cannot relax, right? And so you're being urged to relax. It's happening. Lumeria is coming. Ancient Atlantis is coming. It's all here. It's within your DNA. And now you have to activate it. And in order to activate it, you have to take a break. You have to relax. You have to go within, create a safe space, reset your nervous system. Okay? Beautiful message there. And then Pleiades again, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity, right? So maybe you'll even connect. Maybe you'll learn how to astral project and go all over the universe from the comfort of your own bed, you know, and you'll be able to connect with these higher beings. Break the chain, ancestral pattern, healing, and then rewriting the future. Yes, yes, yes. That totally has to do with the energy, right? Breaking the chain, breaking free to align your life. What is no longer in alignment with who you truly are, you have to break free from those aspects of yourself, which a lot of it is generational trauma, okay? Past life trauma, different things where it's like, you're not the problem, don't worry about it, but you do have to be the solution, you know? It's not your fault that you came into all this generational pain, trauma, and suffering, but it is your responsibility to release the generations to come of this deep pain and suffering. And makes me want to cry just talking about it right now because it really fucking is intense, guys. It's not a joke. It's really, really serious work, right? But the deeper that we go into this and understand, then we can rise that much higher, right? So get grounded. Empaths, highly sensitive, connect with nature, right? So even as I'm saying that, get grounded because we have to ground. In order to ground, like a tree cannot grow its branches if it is not rooted, or it will fall over, right? You have to ground, you have to have roots, right? And that's your belief stuff as well. Mirror, who or what is triggering you? Exactly, that's going to be one of the mainstays this week with what is happening. The crumbling, what are you clinging on to? Tower moment. One more from this deck, guys. Boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? Perfect. Perfect way to end that one. Okay. And then we'll just get a couple out of the universe has your back. I just really love the words that come out of this deck. So the universe has your back. What do we need to hear this week? I recognize that I have chosen fear. And I choose again. I choose love. I recognize that I have chosen fear, and I choose again. I choose love. You can say that to yourself over and over again. Write it down. Write it on your hand, right? Do affirmation work. Remind yourself. When I lean on the faith of the universe, peace becomes real. Yeah, trust the universe, guys. Connect to the universe. Connect to your higher self. Like, everything that you're wanting to know is already within you. This is why I say go within. You will not find anything that you need outside of you. It is all within, right? And so that's why it's so important to trust yourself, to trust in the universe. As you go within, you connect more to the universe because you're connecting to you. You are the universe in a physical body, right? So it says, when I lean on the faith of the universe, peace becomes real, right? Because when you can trust, when you can lean in, when you can say, I trust the universe. I mean, I know I'm not God, so I don't have to hold the whole universe together, right? That's the universe's job. That's what I always say, right? And so when we can surrender and release and let go, that is when you can feel true peace within your heart, true trust, true faith. My faith has the power to turn trauma into healing, conflict into growth, and fear into love. What a perfect way to end it with the fucking tree analogy here, too, what I was just saying, right? So we're going to alchemize that pain and suffering into wisdom. And be gentle with yourself. Look at that. The universe has your back. I love it. Perfect way to end. So guys, be patient with yourself. Understand, like, healing our nervous system, healing our trauma, healing our mind, healing our psyche, healing our habits, healing everything. This takes time, and it is a journey, and it is painful. The awakening is painful. The darkness of the soul is very, very painful. So as you're going through this, give yourself grace, create a safe space for yourself, listen to your emotions, listen to your body, stop expecting other people to have the answers for you. Go within, trust your own path, create strong boundaries, create a safe space for yourself to really navigate what it is that is in alignment for you at this time. Okay? So I'm sending you guys so much love, so much healing.